you were in arts and you started practicing and you were working with some agencies. Tell us a little bit about where you were then and how did you go from doing that, practicing in an agency to now, how did that transition happen? What triggered it?
Oh, okay.
Um, what got you into this? Like, how did
Somatic
you pivot?
sexology.
Yeah, how did you pivot?
Um, well, I kind of had a very conventional approach. In a way, I don't find it when people look at my experience or my journey, it's not very linear, it's very lateral. But for me, it's very natural way that I have kind of unfolded or grown in my life. Um, so God, we went to college when in 2004 or 5 I graduated. I think you graduated in 2004. Ancient. Yeah. Uh,
Let's not date ourselves.
so I I think for my first 15 years of my life, I was dedicated to media, where I was an art director and I used to work in different media houses, do photo shoots, events, design expos, and everything was great up till the point I started entering the dating world. And I just realized I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about my body. I always, and when I think it was 2014, which is 9 years ago, my interest in sexuality um, actually happened out of anguish. I was fed up. I was fed up with the way I looked at sex through a lens of performance. I looked at sex through a lens of my gender, that I'm supposed to make my partner happy. Uh, I have to bend backwards and make sure that he's always pleased. But I had no idea about what my body needed, how to even touch myself. Um, and I was just sick. I was just completely fed up with giving somebody else the responsibility of my pleasure and just deeply dissatisfied in relationships. And I realized this had to stop. So then, so then when that relationship kind of ended its course, I enrolled myself in a self-paced sexuality course in California by Leila Martin. And I started understanding about my anatomy of arousal. What does it mean? What is this thing in my body? What is a vulva? And up till then, even my knowledge about addressing my body, my vulva was, yeah, it's a vagina. I didn't even have an anatomical knowledge about the functioning. And I remember the first exercise that we had to do was just touch yourself and feel. What do you feel? I was completely numb. I felt no sensation because there was just so much of, there wasn't a body mind connection. There was so much of disassociation between my body and my vulva that I questioned whether would I ever be able to feel pleasure. But through and the good thing about my course was that it had a lot of somatic practices like breath, movement, placement of attention, but it also had information related to the esoteric practices of tantra, Tao, a bit of shamanism. And that is my curiosity to understand my body, not only from an anatomical point of view, from a physiological point of view, but also from an energetic point of view. It kind of lured me further to explore. And I think from the training that I did, the self-placed training course that I did with Leila Martin, I went and did an ISTA, which is the Institute of Sacred, I think it's Institute of Sacred Temple Arts, which is completely based on New Age neuroscience. but also age-old principles of understanding your energetic body. Because for me, sex was a way to connect with my spirit and to feel unified. Because, growing up, the information that I got around sex was, you need someone to complete you, whether it's a partner. And sex, if it's not harder, faster, better, stronger, it's not sex. And it's so performative in terms of, can you orgasm on cue? Can you squirt? You have to be hard always for your partner. All these information just made it so tiring to always be ready and prepared, even when my body felt it or not. And it was also about, I kept on crossing my boundaries to please somebody else. But when I did this course and I completely shifted my focus, not on external factors, but I took the responsibility and became agency of my own body, my own pleasure. There was a paradigm shift in terms of how I started behaving. I was regulated. I was relaxed. I was extremely satisfied, open. It's like when an animal, which is an animal body, is well fed, they won't keep on hunting. They will just be more regulated and, I think, more receptive. And initially, what happened with that, I think, with that shift is it kind of had a effect on my external environment as well. Suddenly, the kind of men that I was attracted started changing. There were many men coming from all directions, like, Anchal, what can we do for you? Anchal, what can we do for you? And that used to be me. I used to be the giver in a relationship. And this time it shifted. And at that point, I couldn't realize how shifting my embodied belief around myself and my sexuality had such a external impact on my environment. So that was the benefit of this. And then my interest in sexuality and the practices grew even further. And I went to do this Institute of Sacred Temple Arts, ISTA. It's called ISTA Level 1 and 2. The trainings there. And I was extremely curious to understand sexuality from the perspective of sacred energy exchange, because sex can happen without even touching another human being. And that's what I realized in those practices of how sensitive we are as human beings, what our energy fields are, and tuning ourselves into being more mindful about ourselves, because I am unified. I'm complete as I am. I don't need to have sex with another person to feel complete. So when you shift that mindset and you have the ability to access all the pleasure within your body, within your 5-foot body, regardless of the shape, size, color, sex, religion you are, there is so much of choice and freedom in how you want to be. Because if I don't want anything from you and I'm just extremely self-actualized, self-expressed, loved, I will only meet you with that kind of life state. And I will share that life state with you. And also the thing is, when at the base, we all want to love and be loved, to understand and be understood. But if I'm fully satisfied and loved and I understand myself, I will have the same receptivity for everyone else around me. And that's a fact.